United Airlines is facing a critical point in its history, a threatened strike by pilots on May 17th. The company and the Airline Pilots Association began formal negotiations 15 months ago. They continued with the assistance of the National Mediation Board until April 10th. An impasse was declared, and a 30-day cooling-off period began April 17th. Informal talks have been held recently. Formal talks will resume May 13th. If no agreement is reached before the deadline, both sides are free to take appropriate action. ALPA says it will strike. The company says it will operate with reduced schedules and replacement pilots if necessary. Now, many people are asking, how could this happen? To assure all pilots understand the issues and the company's position, Chairman Dick Ferris and Captain Lloyd Berry, Senior Vice President, Flight Operations, held meetings at pilot domiciles. The attendance was poor. Union representatives personally intimidated pilots to prevent them from attending. A videotape was produced. What you are about to see was recorded May 2nd at the O'Hare Expo Center. Mr. Ferris.
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. It's nice to see the very few of you who are here today. I appreciate your coming, and the only thing I can say is thank you for being here, but needless to say, I'm a little saddened by not seeing more pilots here today. So we're taking an opportunity to tape what I have to say, and we'll provide it in the domiciles in case anybody who didn't want to be intimidated by the picketers outside and the picture takers would like to hear what we have to say. Lloyd and I have agreed that we're going to continue these meetings across the company and complete them at every domicile as scheduled, as planned, because we think it's very important that the pilots of this company have an opportunity to hear what we have to say. I guess the most important thing is the fact that if I were you as a pilot of this company, I'd be asking myself or asking me, why are you doing this, Dick? Why are you causing such pain for this company? Are you attacking our profession? Are you attacking me as an individual? I'm sure there'll be those that say, I am. But fellas, I guess it boils down to is really one thing. It's one thing we've been talking about since I started, and that's for this airline to be cost competitive. As the chairman of the company, I've got a responsibility. I've got a responsibility to three constituencies: our employees, our shareholders, and the public we serve. And if I allow any one of those constituencies to get out of balance, then I'm not doing my job as chief executive. So what we have here, and it's not going to do us any good to go back and who shot John, what did the negotiating committee say, what did Pringle say, what did Ferris say. Really, we're down now to the final issues. It's getting a little late in the game for that. And so I wanted to come out and try and share with you why I think it's so important for our company. As I've said, we've got to be cost competitive. Our four biggest competitors today on available seat mile basis or RPM basis, and I might miss one, but I think I'm pretty correct on this: American Airlines, next is Continental Airlines, and then it's People's Express and Frontier, or Frontier and People's Express. Those are the largest competitors we have. And as I name those carriers, you can see that a number of them, Continental, People's Express, and Frontier, have wage rates, salary rates, that are much lower than ours. And our friends at American have new higher rates, which are much lower than ours. Therefore, their cost of doing business is much more efficient than ours. And that efficiency will grow over time, because as they hire more pilots, they'll be hiring them at lower rates. So the gap, if we were to stay where we are today with our current contract, the gap between us and the competition will continue to grow. And unfortunately, when you're charging the same thing for your ticket as the other guy, you just can't withstand that over a period of time. Right now, today, if you just take American Airlines, our cost compared to American Airlines today is about the same, if not slightly less. And when we started this whole negotiation, our costs were about 8–9% higher than Americans. But because we've been negotiating and been dragging it out, our costs now are about even or slightly less. What we're concerned about, therefore, is not where we are today. What I'm concerned about is the future. Americans hiring a lot of pilots. I've heard some people say that in the next 2 years, it's been bandied about, that they'll hire up to 2,000 pilots. That means they're all coming in these new lower, higher rates, and starting now, their costs are going to go down very rapidly, their available seat mile costs. We hope to grow some if we're successful in doing the Pan Am deal. There's going to be growth there over time. If we're successful in purchasing the 25 Frontier aircraft, there's more growth. So with all that growth, with the attrition, the retirements, we're going to have a lot of new people coming onto this property. And I can't, in good conscience, bring them onto the property unless we can do so competitively. You know, right now we're short of pilots. We ran out of pilots last October. Starting last October, we haven't been able to fly what we wanted to fly. And the reason we haven't is we haven't been able to hire pilots, and we haven't been able to hire pilots because I told you fellas back on my last road show a year ago, more than a year ago, about 14 months ago, that until we solved this negotiation, I didn't want to hire pilots because if you help the company with productivity, I could end up having too many pilots and have to furlough them. And that was not fair. So until we solved this issue, we weren't going to do any hiring. That was a conscious decision. That was a conscious decision made about a year ago, well, last March of '84. It was a very conscious decision. And about October, the squeeze hit. We've been short of pilots, and that's why we've knocked hours out of the schedule for flying. So it wasn't something we didn't expect. We expected it. We got it. And so now we're taking the pain for it. So what kind of pain are we taking because of this decision that we have made, the management of this company and its board of directors, to be cost competitive? Well, we're taking the pain of not being able to fly all the schedule we want to fly right now. I'm taking a personal pain, too. And when I came to this company, relationships between management and the pilot group and its union were just terrible. I remember talking to Eddie Carlson about that relationship. It was it was an adversarial relationship. It was not a good relationship. And so I made a conscious decision when I became chairman. And that was that I was going to learn how to fly. I want to understand what pilots did. And I love it. I'm glad I did no matter what happens. And it's fun, and I'm still flying today, flying around to these meetings. And I enjoy it. I also made another decision. I was going to try and understand ALPA. I was the first chief executive to go to an ALPA meeting. And I went to those meetings to understand, to answer questions. And I'd spend 4 hours answering questions. Yeah, and there were times I wanted to go to ALPA, and they let me come. It was a two-way street. It was a good thing. And we had open communication. We had tent committees. We opened the books. We had dialogue. And that went on with, back to Jerry Pride, Dick Cosgrave, John Ferg. But now we've had a parting of the ways. Because you, the pilots, elected your membership. You elected them, and you told them, your current MEC members, you, the membership, elected them, and you've told them, you said, no concessionary agreement. So now we got two immutable objects meeting each other. You might remember last year when I was out on the road show, as I was talking to you guys, I said, hey, fellas, I said, I don't like a two-tier system. I said, I understand some of the problems of a two-tier system. It creates two classes of citizens, as you tell me. And over time, it threatens you, the current workforce, because you say, when those guys become a big enough part of the population, what are they going to do to us? I hear all those concerns. And to some degree, those concerns are logical.